11, we are still busy with the excretory system, and today I'm going to show you 2 videos, okay, that I want you to look at, and then we will continue from there.
Nephron, structure and functions. Objective, to understand the structure of a nephron in detail. The excretory system in human beings consists of a pair of kidneys. A magnified view of the longitudinal section of kidney shows 2 prominent regions, a cortex and a medulla. As we zoom into the cortex region, it shows the presence of numerous nephrons. Each nephron has a Bowman's capsule, a proximal convoluted tubule, a loop of Henle, a distal convoluted tubule that leads to a collecting duct. Nephrons are convoluted in the cortex region and straighten out as loops in the medulla region. Each nephron has a Bowman's capsule, which is a cup-shaped structure that has an outer layer made of squamous epithelial cells. In the cavity of the Bowman's capsule, there is a bundle of capillaries known as the glomerulus. The blood vessel entering the Bowman's capsule is known as the afferent arteriole, and is thicker than the blood vessel exiting the capsule, which is thinner, and is known as the efferent arteriole. The Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus together form the Malpighian body. This capsule extends into the proximal convoluted tubule, PCT. On the inner side, this tubule is lined by a brush-bordered epithelium with numerous microvilli. This PCT leads into the loop of Henle, which lies in the medulla region. It is U-shaped and has a descending limb and an ascending limb. This further leads into the distal convoluted tubule, which is again seen in the cortex region, and it finally joins the collecting duct. As blood flows through the glomerulus, water, salts, and waste diffuse into the Bowman's capsule. This liquid then passes into the PCT and the loop of Henle, where water and important salts are absorbed back into the blood vessel. Only the waste material, like urea and some water molecules, proceed into the DCT, where more water may get absorbed into the interstitial fluid. This liquid formed is the urine, which is released into the collecting duct. This finally trickles through the kidney into the ureter, which helps the passage of urine into the urinary bladder. After a while, the urine can be excreted from the bladder. To summarize, the excretory system in human beings consists of a pair of kidneys. The longitudinal section of kidney shows 2 prominent regions, a cortex and a medulla. Inside the kidney, we observe numerous nephrons. Each nephron has a Bowman's capsule, a proximal convoluted tubule, a loop of Henle, a distal convoluted tubule that leads to a collecting duct. In the cavity of the Bowman's capsule, there is a bundle of capillaries known as the glomerulus. As blood flows through the glomerulus, water, salts, and waste diffuse into the Bowman's capsule. This liquid then passes into the PCT and the loop of Henle, where water and important salts are absorbed back into the blood vessel. Only the waste material, like urea and some water molecules, proceed into the DCT, where more water may get absorbed into the interstitial fluid. The liquid remaining in the DCT is the urine, which is finally released into the collecting duct.
There was not one word said that you do not have to know. That is why I'm using that video. even more there is to what you need to know, because you need to know how each part is adapted. So what we are going to do now, grade 11, is I am going to give you a huge piece of paper, and I want you to draw the nephron as large as possible on this paper, because now I'm going to go part by part. We are going to study this, the whole loop system as well. Okay. So what I want you to draw now, and perhaps I must draw it so that you can see it's not that difficult to draw. And I'm going to take it piece by piece, and then you will see it is a lot of new information, but it is also not that much. So let me draw it so that you can see it's not that difficult. Okay. So when we draw a nephron, I want you to write there on the top. Okay. When we draw the nephron, we do it like this. We draw a cup shape or something like a funnel shape. It must look like a funnel there. Okay? A funnel, like a cup. And then we have our first convoluted tubules. Then we have a U-shaped tubule, convoluted again, and then the collecting duct. Okay? You see, it is not that difficult. Okay. That is a nephron. Yeah, we first draw it like that. What you saw in the video was that it is not a flat tube like we looking at it there. You agree? It is, the next one is starting in here, and it is a much longer tube. But we make it flat and we stretch it out a bit so that we can understand it. Okay? Right. I want you to write the nephron. And I want you to remember the nephron is the structural and functional unit of the kidney. Is the structural and functional unit of the kidney. That means that is the little part of a kidney that can do the function of the kidney. Now, if I ask you what is the structural and functional part of your lung, what will you say? The alveolus. Do you now understand what I mean with structural and functional unit? Okay. And I want you to really, this is not an art piece. I want you just to start and remember the names. Now, this cup shape is the capsule of Bowman. Capsule of Bowman. Capsule of Bowman. Bowman. Bowman, yeah, sorry, Bowman. It's an M. Bowman. Capsule of Bowman. You can look in your textbook, if that may help you. There, we are now in that cup shape. Capsule of Bowman. Okay. Then, into the capsule of Bowman, I have an arteriole that enters the capsule of Bowman, and it makes a network of capillaries, and when it's leaving the capsule of Bowman, it has a smaller in diameter arteriole. I want you to look. The arteriole entering the capsule of Bowman has a wider diameter than when that same arteriole leaves the capsule of Bowman. Do you see that? The moment when you saw that I'm drawing this, what did you think? Increasing surface area. Do you agree? When blood is coming in here, and it's moving from a white vessel, arteriole, into a very thin space, can you think that there must be higher pressure inside? And where it is leaving, the pressure is also increased because it is a thinner tube. Thick tube moves into a network, moves out with a smaller outlet. Do you see that? That increased the pressure of blood in this capsule of Bowman. Okay, now this red part, this red capillary network is called the glomerulus. The capillary network with an increase in surface area and very high pressure is the glomerulus. Okay. Capillary network, high pressure inside. Increased surface area, high pressure. Due to the fact that the inlet, which is called the afferent. Afferent means bringing towards. Afferent arteriole brings blood into the glomerulus. And the efferent, this one is the efferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole and efferent. Now, excuse my Afrikaans, but in Afrikaans I know how to say this. A means in Afrikaans na. Nee, na die glomerulus. Afferent arteriole. Brings blood towards. Affer na. Towards. You see? And the E is vir weg. E, weg. Van die glomerulus. Okay? Because you do understand Afrikaans, I'm using that word. What is the difference between the afferent and the efferent arteriole? Their diameters. Their diameters. This wider diameter towards the glomerulus, the capillary network, and away from the glomerulus cause very high pressure in this area of the blood. Very high pressure. To another name. Now I want you to make a circle surrounding your glomerulus and surrounding your capsule of Bowman. Okay, now I know it really looks... No, but I want you to understand your own drawing. Then you will easily study it. So if you make a circle, capsule of Bowman and glomerulus, I'm writing it in green. That is the Malpighian body. Malpighian body. Okay. Some mad little varkie, né? Malpighian body. What is the Malpighian body? It is the capsule of Bowman plus the glomerulus. Malpighian body. Okay, now we already understand that we have very high pressure Can you remember the arteriole? No. And it changed, and there it is a capillary network. I have cells that's looking like this, with tiny openings between them, the epithelial cells. If there is very, very high pressure, the substances can be, due to the pressure, be pressed out through the openings between the endothelial or epithelial cell in the capillaries. So due to this high pressure, there are substances that moves into this capsule that looks like a funnel. Their substances can move into due to the high pressure. That high pressure is also called ultrafiltration, because it's filtering that's taking place, because it's looking like a sieve. Do you agree? If there's openings like that, and I have lots of pressure, substances can move through that openings. Due to high pressure, we call it ultrafiltration. What can move through there? Water, glucose, salts, urea, minerals, and vitamins. Let me repeat. Glucose. Oh, let's start with water. Now, water, glucose, amino acids, urea, salts, vitamins, and minerals. Tiny molecules can move through there. Okay. No blood proteins. So it means my red blood cells, although we know they are very, very tiny, they cannot move through there. The reason why they cannot move through there is, in between there are very strange looking cells they have outgrowths, and they make that opening even smaller with those cells that is actually covering the openings between the endothelium of the blood cells. And those cells are called podocytes. Yes, podocytes is cells that block the openings between the epithelium of the Capsule of Bowman. Sorry, they are in the Capsule of Bowman. They are not in the blood vessel. They are in the Capsule of Bowman, but they also block those openings. Podocytes. The podocytes, they block the openings between the endothelium cells of the blood vessels and also the membrane of the Bowman's capsule. And they prevent any proteins. They prevent any proteins to move through that tiny opening. Well, let's just see podocytes. I will show you later I do have some good slides of podocytes, and we can also see that on another video. So, very high pressure. This high pressure causes substances to move through the endothelium of the blood vessels and through the epithelium cells of the Capsule of Bowman, the blue one. All the small molecules can move in, but large plasma proteins and blood proteins cannot. Due to the stoppers are the podocytes. They fill up the holes so that really only tiny molecules can enter there. Okay. Right. And the moment, and there I'm going to stop, the moment when I have when I have the substance moving here into that space, it is called filtrate. And that filtrate is what? It is glucose, vitamins, amino acids, salts, water. Well, the minerals is actually salts, nah? The mineral salts. And they are now called the filtrate because they filtered urea. They are now starting to move into this tube. Okay, and I'm going to stop right there. Okay? Because if you are going to read the function of the nephron, and you are going to read ultrafiltration and up to the adaptation of the Malpighian body for ultrafiltration, you will see that is that first part of the nephron. I'm going to stop there, but I really want you to make sure you do understand what is happening there. Okay, right, so let's continue then. Our first step was filtration and on our way to make urine. And here is the body of Malpighian. You see the glomerulus, and there you can see the podocytes. These are around the capillaries. You see, it's like cells with little legs, outgrowths. And they make little slits to make sure only the tiny parts can filtrate through there. It's not a hole and everything can be pressed through it. It is an opening, but this opening is closed by the podocytes in order to make sure that really no plasma proteins, no red blood cells, no white blood cells can enter the tubules of the nephron. The moment when you find any red blood cells in your urine, you will say you have blood in your urine, isn't it? When you see red urine, you think there's blood in your urine. Then you must know that there is a wound, like a torn part in your capsule of Bowman. And that means it can happen when you have a hard hit, like in an accident or a tackle in rugby or hockey or in sport. And that means there's a tear, and now blood is moving into this space. Okay.
With over 300 games in 6 weeks, get DSTV to watch the best live football action.
Continue with the kidney. So I want you to take out that sheet of yours so that you can continue making notes on that huge sheet. Okay. And I want us to look at the last piece of information. Before we can do that, we first need to see, do we remember what is the meaning of the term homeostasis? Homeostasis is to maintain a constant internal environment in a body, in an organism. Now, it is not for non-living things. It is for bodies. Okay, so how will the kidney do that? It does it by osmoregulation, and osmoregulation means to maintain to regulate the water contents or the water concentration inside the body. pH, where is the pH regulated in the kidney? Which part of the nephron? In the distal convoluted tubule. Yes? Okay. And salts? How are salts, the concentration regulated by the kidney? Actually, the whole nephron. In all parts, we may have the reabsorption of salts, but we also can have the tubular secretion of extra salts. Now, and the excess ones will dissolve in the urine and eventually leave the kidney. Urea will be excreted and removed from the blood. Okay, now, I want you to concentrate now on the following. We are going to look at how does my nephron know when to reabsorb more or less water. In order to do that, we have a specific hormone, the antidiuretic hormone. And I want you to write down that word now. Please say it. Antidiuretic hormone. You can write it on your paper, and this hormone will work in the collecting duct area. So you can write it here at your collecting duct. The ADH hormone will work. ADH will work in the distal, the last part of the distal convoluted tubule, and especially in the collecting duct area. Okay, antidiuretic hormone, or in short, ADH. And this hormone, only when they ask you, name the hormone or give the full name, you may use the abbreviation ADH. You are allowed to use that. But they may ask you what is ADH stands for. No. It is in your book, yes? It is in your book. It is part of the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct. Okay, so now this is a very interesting way how this is regulated. So,